Hey there, and welcome to the Brittany Wheeler Show. Join Brittany as she interviews incredible people whose stories will uplift you and remind you the life you long for is just ahead. Buckle up for an inspirational ride to your best life. Take it away, Britt.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Brittany Wheeler Show. So excited to have you. I am your host, Brittany Wheeler, and I am really tickled for today's conversation. As you are watching on YouTube, you can see my guest, and I'm so excited to introduce her and have a delightful conversation, one that we don't get afforded very often, even though we are friends. So let me introduce her so we can get started. She's a wife, a mother, a sister, a daughter, an entrepreneur, a leader, a community pillar. She's a multi-talented woman, honestly, like wait to hear all the things. She's former Miss New Hampshire and my dear friend. Please welcome Holly Horst to the Brittany Wheeler Show.
Thank you so much for having me. This is very exciting.
You're so welcome. Also, I think why this is so cool, and I love the opportunity to get to obviously have conversations with friends. But when friends are in similar lanes as me, it's really cool because of the multi-talented things that you do, you are in radio. And so this is not new for you to have experience and exposure, via a platform like this and using microphones and having to talk and have conversations. So I'm excited for us to get the opportunity to talk like this because a lot of times it's no camera, no mic. It's
True. So true. Yep.
very
And it is, I take for granted sometimes, like you mentioned, having had experience in radio. I have friends that knew I was doing this and they're like, are you nervous for that? Are you prepared? How much did you prepare? And I'm like, I did this for work for 3-4 years, so and I still fill in from time to time. So very comfortable and very, very excited to do this with you. So thank you.
You're so welcome. And I believe what's really the most special is to give you an opportunity. Like you do so much for the community in New Hampshire where you live. And I'm really excited that this gets an opportunity where we get to put the spotlight on you and share your heart and share your story, and to give you the moment that you bless so many other people with. So this is going to be a really fruitful conversation. So I'm excited for it.
I think so. And I never know which direction it may go. So we have some plans, but it'll be fun.
I love it. So I'm going to pass to you and you get to share. I pass this next segment. I really enjoy it. I let the guests decide either they get to share how we met or a story of us. And it just helps to build a foundation with a listener. And I really do believe, and I've seen it time and time again, that I'll get feedback from people who ultimately feel like the guests are friends to them, right? Because they feel so connected in the way that we are having conversation, how we met. So I'll let you decide also which one to say.
Okay. And I feel like this will make you laugh because when I think back and reflect to when I first met you, I maybe wouldn't say that you met me that day, but we met through Arbonne, which I'm sure your listeners have heard you talk about before on this podcast. But it was when I first got started about 8 years ago as an independent consultant. And if you remember at the time, we were going to meetings down in Nashua. I think it was one of the hotels down Nashua, New Hampshire. And I walked into this room and there were so many women and men. And, I kind of timidly, nervously walked in. I didn't really know anybody yet, except the 2 mentors in my life who had introduced me to the opportunity. So I sat down, the meeting starts, and I can remember this girl raises her hand and starts asking about fizz sticks and like, how many is too many to drink a day? Because I drink about, like, I think you said 4 or 5. I can't even remember at the time.
I said 6.
Yes. I knew it was a lot. And I'm like, who is this girl? Like, she had so much energy. And I just right off the bat, I was like, I need to know who this person is because you just had this outgoing spirit. I just loved listening to you. And so I don't really think we actually met that night, Britt, but over the years have gotten to know you better and better. And each year, especially because we don't live close by in terms of geographical location, when we get to go out to our annual training conference in Las Vegas, I love getting to spend time with you. And just, it's been so fun to get to know you over the past few years, even more so than when I first met you 8 years ago.
I call that the Fizz Sticks Anonymous meeting because I remember that meeting so clearly. And for anybody that doesn't know, Fizz Sticks are energy, a plant-based energy, mental clarity, mood stick pack that Arbonne sells, which is incredible, and they've definitely changed my life. And so the recommended amount is 3 per day. It's only 55 milligrams of green tea. So very small in the caffeine space, but following like good recommendations. And they had been doing like an information session that night of like going through a product knowledge moment. And I just felt so like, I was like, is this right? Because what I'm taking isn't. And I just remember, I vividly remember me like popping on my hand and asking. And then then it was like popcorn. And someone's like, well, I do 4, I do 5. Okay, I do 6. Like all these confessions starting to happen throughout the room. And I was like, okay, I'm with my people.
I'm in good company. I'm where I'm supposed to be. Nobody's judging me.
Nobody's judging me. Yeah, that was a fabulous meeting. And our story is cool because, like, obviously, getting to know each other, like you said, more over time. We also had like we have like a weird friend to friend, not weird as in the person's weird, but like what a small world weird connection.
Mm-hmm.
Because in my childhood, growing up across the street from a family that was a Miss New Hampshire family, a legacy Miss New Hampshire family, and that girl is in your business now and as a friend of yours, and she was someone you mentor. And so it was just like her grandparents took my parents' wedding photos. Like it was just so weird and cool. And like, what a small
The world is so small. Yeah, it really is. And I remember when you told me that because you learned I was a former Miss New Hampshire, and you're like, well, you must know this family. I'm like, I sure do. I've known them since I was 13 years old. I remember, the daughter, the 2 daughters were really, really young at the time. And yeah, it's crazy how small the world is.
It's so crazy. And it's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think that is the opportunity that we get invited to by creating community, right? And opening ourselves up to new relationships and new connections is that we ultimately may find there's a much bigger plan and a much deeper connection than we even can dream of if we open ourselves up, right? To meeting new people, which is half the battle, right? Is showing up and being willing and open.
Yes, so true. I feel like, gosh, I just love community. So many different communities that I've been fortunate to be part of. And, I hear, especially being in New Hampshire, where it's, we have an older population of individuals and newer people coming into the state, but people often talk about how it's hard to meet people. And I'm like, oh, what are you talking about? I meet somebody new every single day, but I just think that's part of my nature. I'm very open-minded to it. Like I will go to the grocery store and strike up a conversation with a random person in the grocery aisle. Like I love meeting new people. It's just been always part of my nature. So yeah.
I love that. And it's a muscle too, right? It's like anything, once you do it so often, you don't know how to not do it, right? Like,
right.
And this conversation has been coming up with a friend of mine. We've been talking about the Progressive commercials because I am my parents. Like the stuff that's in there, right? Of like the things that they do. I'm like, yep, that's me. Like the most recent commercial, which may be different when this actually airs, but the most recent commercial is like the guy at the counter yells, like speaks out the name of the coffee to help the barista. That's totally something that I would do to be like, Johan, Joe, I got you. Like the other day I was like driving and one of the commercials, I don't know how many months ago it was, but the commercial was this adult walking by kids playing in the street and being like, oh, what are you guys up to? And no joke, I literally am walking by these kids and I was like, what are you guys up to? In my mind, running the Progressive commercial, being like, I am my parents. Like I am. Yeah, it's totally okay. And there's an element of community and neighborly love and connection. That's ultimately what they're meaning by that, right? Is that you're not afraid to just be a little bit different and something really beautiful and important for that.
Imagine if more people were like that.
Yeah, we'd have a lot less lonely people, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
I just cured mental health. You guys are welcome. You've heard it here. Done and done. Okay, so this is the coolest new part of the segment. Obviously, you heard me like we've seen this mug. It's like I made it myself, not the ceramics, but I painted it. I'm creative in the kitchen. I'm creative. That's how I show love and how I flex my skills. Art is not it. So this is not my best work. However, I love having a mug that's like my brand. And I wanted to do something really special because most of the guests that I interview are not in person. And I'm like, how cool would it be to have a conversation and like let them drink out of the mug they love so much. And so this new segment is an opportunity. Also, like totally like Regis and Kelly. Like, what's in the mug, you guys? You know, like what are you drinking? And so I want to hear what your mug is, why it's your favorite, like how you came to love it. Give us all the deets.
Okay, so this is my mug, and I actually have some matcha in it today. So I want matcha.
Delicious.
I don't know if you like the matcha, but I'm obsessed
It's
with
so
it.
good. Not all matchas are created
Mhm.
equal. It's superb.
I had never had matcha before Arbonne introduced their matcha, and I don't know. I've been missing out apparently, but
You have.
I love it. As you can see, my mug is a little bit cracked on the bottom. It is a well-loved mug, and I'm just hoping and praying that this doesn't ever shatter. I shouldn't have even uttered those words out loud, but it says "Enjoy life" on it on both sides. I believe it's probably backwards, based on what I'm seeing in my camera here. But
I can see it. Looks good.
I got this mug probably, if I can remember correctly, the fall of 2018. And I had gone to a fundraiser. It was a yoga class for one of my aunts who was sadly battling breast cancer. And so they had some auction packages or silent auction items. And I don't even remember what else came with the mugs, maybe some drinks or something. But I put my tickets in there and was fortunate to win this. And sadly, my aunt passed that following summer after a very, very short battle. I think she'd been diagnosed in September, October, and she passed in July. And so, this just kind of like enjoy life, that she loved life. She loved her people. She loved her family. And so I will cherish this mug for the rest of my life. And I'm like, if it does ever crack, I'll be hot gluing it back together. It just feels like, even though this wasn't from her per se, it was a gift that I got in trying to support her on her journey. And it just reminds me a lot of her. So very special to me and very personal, but worth sharing because she was my absolute favorite. And she's very missed. So this mug, I'll drink anything out of it.
What was her name?
Lee.
Lee.
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
thank you for bringing Lee onto the show and sharing the mug and just letting the audience into your heart posture and just a little moment of you and Lee. I think that's really sweet. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's awesome. I love
And
it.
I love the new element of it because I just feel like everybody has a favorite mug, right? Like everybody has a mug they drink out of. I have a couple mugs that like people had gifted me over the years around the holidays that say Holly on it because people think it's like Holly Jolly Spirit, and my birthday is in December, but like those are cute, but they're not my favorite.
Right. You're like, I see you, but like,
Mhm,
no.
mhm.
Yeah,
This is it.
I love the mug thing too because it's been really cool. I think I've done maybe 5, 6 episodes so far with the mug, and I enjoy it honestly, probably maybe more than some of my guests will because I just get to know, who I'm talking to a little bit more. And every single person, like every single guest that has done it is so invested in it. And they like, obviously it's pretty new, but nobody's been like, oh, darn it. Like, this is
I
all I
don't have a
have.
mug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's really like taken the time. And I really am grateful for that because again, I think it just creates a really rich experience. The audience gets to be a part of that. And, I've always done things differently. And I think these kind of conversations are doing things differently in the space of television and podcasting and things like that because they are bringing the heart into things. And we need more of that for sure.
Yes, I love it. So thank you. When you told me about it, I knew instantly, right? Like there wasn't even a doubt in my mind which mug I'd have this morning. And so I had to make sure it was clean. Ready to go.
Like, I need to be washed. It's
That
got to
was,
be ready on the counter. Nobody touch it.
don't use it. I need it tomorrow.
Don't use it.
Mm.
Don't use it. Oh, well, thank you. I want to dive in because we got some really good questions. And I want to really go back a little bit, because again, I don't know. So I'm going to experience a lot of this for the first time. But what did you experience in your childhood that formed you to be this kind and community driven woman that the audience has already got to hear so far on the show?
I love that question. And I think back to my childhood and there's so many things that I can reflect on. But I was, as you probably know, I was a competitive baton twirler. I don't know, actually, I think you probably knew that.
I don't even know if I did, but
And I,
now I know. I'm shaking my head. Yeah.
yep,
I'm
yep,
not
competitive
shocked.
baton.
One more thing that you're amazing at. Okay.
And I grew up dancing and started twirling at the age of 4 and dancing around the age of 8. And with both organizations or teams that I was part of, getting involved with the community was just part of what we did. And so from a young age, I would go to charity events as a performer to help raise money for different initiatives and causes around the state. And so, from the age of like 6 all through the rest of my life, I've been for brain injury associations, trying to think, American Heart Association. My dance group did a performance every year. It's still going on to this day, called Dancers Making a Difference. And every year we'd pick a different charity or a different individual in the community who could use those funds. So from a very early age, this was just kind of embedded in me to give back and to be part of it. And yes, it was through performance. And as I've gotten older, I'm not really performing anymore, but it's opened my eyes to all the good that takes place, not only in my community, but in our state of New Hampshire. I mean, there's something like over 12,000 registered nonprofits in the state of New Hampshire, and all of them are doing such great work. So that really is, I think, what drove me to get more involved in community service and volunteering. And, in middle school, it was a requirement. I don't know if it was like this for you when you were in middle school, but I had to complete so many community service hours. I don't believe this is something that's mandated anymore for students, at least in this state. But I can remember some of my classmates and peers really struggling to get those hours. And it was like, I was always above and beyond what was required. And it was because I was able to do something that I loved while supporting an organization, but it felt so easy to me and so natural. And just to hear different people's stories and how they've been impacted and how we can make a difference in the community for so many different organizations really just opened my eyes, like I said. And then once I got started competing in the Miss New Hampshire program, which I'm sure we'll dive more into at some point, but each contestant that competes has a platform. They now call it a community service initiative. And so mine was about giving back and volunteering. And eventually, when I did become Miss New Hampshire 10 years ago, my platform was called Charity from the Heart, Giving Time to Make a Difference. And it was such a natural fit for what I'd already been doing most of my life, but as a way to encourage people of all ages to give back. I mean, I was a young kid who started giving back. And some people think you have to be an adult before you can start making a difference, and that's not true. I started initiatives in high school and in college, simple things like writing letters that could then be distributed to senior citizens living in a nursing home because some of them don't have family or visitors, So I think that early experience at a young age of getting involved, and this is a little unrelated, but it just kind of describes a little bit more about who I am. My parents to this day will still talk about how when I was in kindergarten, the feedback the teachers would always give them is, Holly gets to every activity center throughout the day. She doesn't necessarily complete every project, but she gets her hands on every single thing that there is to do in our daycare facility. And it's like hearing that. I mean, I don't remember that statement from being young, but as my parents have repeated over the years, I'm like, yeah, that's just, I think I'm a little bit better on the follow through and completing tasks and projects these days. But I just, everywhere I can be and touch and make a difference somehow, it's like I'm there, and sometimes spread myself too thin. But I mean, we have like one opportunity at this life, right? Why wouldn't I try to do as much as I possibly can to give back? And so then it made no surprise to anybody when I was done being Miss New Hampshire, was entering the workforce in the nonprofit sector. I've worked for amazing nonprofit organizations like Make-A-Wish, our local children's hospital here in New Hampshire, a police athletic league, working with inner city youth, and now serve in a role professionally at the Greater Manchester Chamber. So I get to work with all sorts of businesses and nonprofit organizations, and it's just, to me, it seems to make perfect sense. But I guess if you didn't know my childhood, you might be like, how on earth did you get to where you are? But yeah, I could go on and on, Britt.
I love it. I love it. And you get so fired up about it. And you guys, as you're watching and you're hearing her, like you can feel the difference, right? Like this is not, Holly's not saying it to say it. It's part of her being, right? And I think there's something so beautiful and an invitation for all of us to do something really valuable and meaningful with our life. Like Holly said, we have one life, no dress rehearsal. And it's like, is every opportunity going to be something that gets you paid? No. But is every opportunity an opportunity for you to add value and to serve and to make a difference? Absolutely. And I don't think enough of us find the balance of both, right? And ultimately, like, if you choose to do something that you love, right, and it pays you, then that is an element of serving as well, right? But it's the settling and it's staying in things that don't give you joy. You're not going to serve, you're not going to add value where you're at, right? And I do think that's a product of our parents and our grandparents' generation when it was scarcity and there was a need, right, for money and provision. It's like, oh, well, I have to do this. Well, that's your mindset. That's going to be how you show up, right? But what we're
Mhm.
seeing, even in Gen Z, right, is this total like 180 of like, oh, as I move the camera. Oh, I got so excited with my hand. Um, oh, we're not going to be a part of the company because what you say and what we want, you're not adding value. You're not making a difference, right? Like this generation is calling up organizations to be better and do better because they want to be a
Mhm.
part of that, right? And so you're an example of being in the middle of those generations of like, okay, well, I've had to do all these things to provide. And I've been a part of incredible organizations as well that have maybe not paid me, but I've been able to be purpose driven in what I've done. And I think what is
Absolutely.
really beautiful, and one of the things that was kind of coming up for me is what does it look like, Holly 2.0, right? To truthfully and like just in the most authentic way merge that together, right? Where every single part of you is giving back and everything, and it's your brand and it's your income and it's your legacy.
Honestly, I would say since becoming a mother almost 3 years ago, it's been challenging because my whole life up until becoming a mom, it was like I was constantly able to do things for other people, but it was like it felt good for me. And then when you become a mom, if anybody listening is a mom and knows what that's like, suddenly your world is centered around this little tiny human being who needs you, and you start to realize that everybody else who needed you have to take a bit of a back seat. But I feel like because I've influenced so many people to get involved, it's like, okay, now's my turn. I can take a back seat, and this isn't forever. My daughter is going to continue to grow, but I'm setting an example for her too as I've started to slowly get my way back into serving on committees. I mean, I never really stopped serving on the board of directors that organizations I've been part of. I think I serve on one, two, three boards of directors right now and one committee, and I've had to pull back a little bit, but I'm setting an example for her. So even if I can't, I have a really hard time. I beat myself up quite a bit and just like, oh my God, this isn't the same level of output that I used to do before becoming a mom. And people, in my life, thank goodness I have such a supportive people in my life. They're constantly reminding me, okay, but you're still making an impact and you're still making a difference, even if it's not the same level that you used to be.
Yeah.
Um, and it feels good. Like I don't foresee myself ever totally giving up, but it becomes this balance. It's like I have a full time job. I'm a full time mother. Um, it's just you have to find the balance, but you can still make impact in ways. In smaller ways too. Even if you volunteer one day out of the year, there's an event that I've loved for years and years that the Salvation Army does in New Hampshire, where it's around the holidays and they have a big toy drive. And even if even if that was the only thing I could do, it was one day out of the year. I mean, you're making an impact. Like even if you can't do something every single day,
Yeah.
that's okay. And so I've had to give myself that grace to be like, just because it doesn't look like how it used to, doesn't mean it can't be a different version. And, there are so many companies now that give their employees paid time off to go volunteer. And it's like, go do that. You could find something that you're really passionate about. And I just think there's so much more to life than going to work and going home and going to bed and repeat that cycle. It's talk about community. It's like, this is how I'm meeting different people constantly because I'm putting myself out there in these various ways to make an impact.
I love that. And I can't help but feel like as you were talking around the output and what you're able to do, I also feel like, and maybe you have thought about this, maybe you haven't, but that how you showed up is going to look different, not because you're doing less, right? But because you're meant to lead and develop the next generation, right? Like, what does that
Mhm.
look like for you, right? To empower and to grow many people to do what you've done, right? Versus you going back out and putting your own two hands. Not that you're going to do that, right? Like you said, the output will just look different. And I can't help but think, like, man, oh man, right? Like, creating an army, right? What does that look like as far as a legacy is concerned? This is rhetorical, but that's just what's coming to mind for me is yes, I think we all get to a place in the things that we're passionate about and the things that we do, and life changes. And I think oftentimes we think almost the exchange is exact, like less time in the field means less impact. No, no, no. Less
Mhm.
time in the field means you get to put that 20 to 30% towards a much greater impact, right? Because you have experience and connections to go instead and say, okay, I'm not going to go and actually be the one on the ground, but let me gather all of the women that competed, right, in Miss New Hampshire. Let me gather all the individuals from the different schools and the dance companies I've been a part of, and let me go pour into them and let them go pour into the community. That's just what
It's
I'm
like
getting.
you knew this was already happening, and as you're talking, I'm like, "Yeah, you know exactly." So, back when I competed in the program, and I competed for about 10 years between the ages of 13 up until I won Miss New Hampshire, that we would have certain events that we could volunteer at or be part of, as an organization and as the contestants in the organization. And since that time of me competing, they now have a formal like community outreach program where different nonprofits in the state who request volunteers or need support can put in a request to the Miss New Hampshire organization, and the community outreach team will put it out there. And we have 24 teen contestants, 24 Miss contestants that will all compete at the state level. So there are 48 young women right there who are eager to give back and get involved. And you are so right because all the organizations I've previously worked at, those events are still taking place. And maybe I'm not working there as a staff person, and maybe I'm not even volunteering with them anymore, but I know about those opportunities and I'm feeding it to the community outreach team and saying, hey, this upcoming cornhole tournament is taking place in May for 4 weeks. They could use 6 to 8 volunteers each week. And so you're right. It does look different, but it's like how rewarding to know that I've made an impact on other people to give back. And maybe it's not their true one passion. They're going to find their own organizations they want to support more in depth in the future. But it's just this like, it's really cool to think about that ripple effect and how something I did is now impacting so many other people, and their ability to give back, which is just, it's very cool to think about it from that perspective.
So cool. And I think too, like you and I were talking about earlier around the day to day, right? Like yes, volunteering in a capacity like you're talking about daily may not be an option. And how can you show up for somebody that is in love and in kindness and in connection? That simply could be commenting on their outfit, holding the door open for them, right? Getting the cart at the checkout line. I mean, there's so using someone's name. Gosh, I go on the diatribe all the time on this show of like, they're wearing a name tag, people, use it, right?
Mhm.
And every time I
Mhm.
go to Trader Joe's, I
Spell it
always
correctly when you email them.
yes, yes. And I always like when I go to Trader Joe's, I was just there yesterday. I was like, thanks, Mike. Have a great day. As if I know him. Why? Because
Mhm.
I genuinely had a conversation. Put your phone down in the line or tell the person on the phone, hey, hang on 1 second while I have this eye contact conversation with someone. There's so many things that cost us nothing that are just about being intentional. And like Holly said, what does it look like for you to infuse active service into your day-to-day life, right? That number one doesn't cost anything. And then number two, it's like, okay, well, it happens every once in a while, right? Like
Mhm.
it's not that big of a deal. Because again, it's a blend and again, it's a muscle. It's really like I feel like a lot of it, like serving people, and when your heart posture is to make a difference, I I have felt a I have felt the shift in my own life. When I first started my business with Arbonne, I really wanted to make a difference. but the head and heart connection hadn't happened yet. It was just my head. I saw the business opportunity. I saw that, this could be a way to make money, and I did want to make a difference. And then something happened to where the whole framework in my heart was all about, well, how can I add value? How can this bless somebody? How can this make a difference? And that didn't just stay with my business. That trickled into my LLC. That's trickled into this show, right? Now it's everything
Mhm.
I do. I always think about, how can I add value? How can what I do make a difference? And the reality is, you guys, when you think like that, you get your own, like it may not be a direct exchange of money for, oh, hey, I have this episode, it's going to make money. No, I'm a long game thinker, right? So when you're in the business of changing lives and making a difference, you're a long game thinker, because you understand that you may not get paid on the first 100 things that you do, but you know that the
Mhm.
dividends are going to come not just in cash, it's going to come in connections, opportunity,
Mhm.
doors opening, right? Like you're gonna be in spaces you never would have thought you could, right? Because of the things that you did. So I just encourage anybody listening that, like, number one, there's no reason why you shouldn't be, doing something to add value every day. And then what does it look like? And bring your kids along, like they're watching, right? I know that your daughter obviously is a part of all the things that you get to participate in that obviously are safe and make sense for her. But
Mhm.
they love it, right? They love to be out there and active and running around. And most of the stuff when you're volunteering, you can do that, right? It's not hard labor, right? They can be a part of what you're doing to serve.
Yes, it's so true, and like you said, it can be so simple. I think so often people overthink it or think they don't have time. Like, uh, talk about you between you and I, we're so busy. It would be so easy to say we don't have any time for that, but when it becomes part of who you are, it's just you can't imagine it not being part of the time you
Yeah.
spend each day or throughout a year. Yeah, there's I'm just so passionate about impacting people's lives in a positive way. And like you said, you started that way thinking through the business and what you quickly realize it impacts so many areas of your life,
Yeah.
which is so important. It's so important to have such a fulfilled life in that way.
Yeah. And it's just such a different way of thinking. It's interesting because the question that I was going to ask you about Miss New Hampshire, it doesn't feel right now, because I feel like, and not in a bad, not in a bad way, but I don't think Miss New Hampshire is going to come after me. If they do, go ahead. But I almost wonder,
I'm
like,
on the board. I won't come after
okay,
you.
okay. So I'm also like, everything that I know about Miss New Hampshire, right, is, and the Miss America program in general, right, is a catalyst for women to launch into careers, their education, opportunities to serve, add value, make a difference, and to help women and young girls and young men ultimately, right, by different ways, right, different pillars, and I don't know all the details to those. And I can't help but feel like after this conversation, I'm like, I don't know who benefited more, Holly or the Miss New Hampshire program. And so I really feel like my question isn't about how did Miss New Hampshire change or catalyst your career. My question now is like, how did you change Miss New Hampshire? Like, what was that impact? Because I genuinely, like, you just shared one thing, but I'm just like, I feel like you were way more equipped to enter that space and to start competing than most women are, because you were already practicing the values at a young age.
Mhm. Mhm. That's a really great question. I really appreciate that. I think, that really means a lot. And you're so right. When I this program was introduced to me, well, truthfully, I because I was a competitive baton twirler, I watched a lot of my instructors compete in the program. So I knew one day I wanted to get on that stage. When I was young, in middle school, they introduced the teen program. So it was really supposed to be like a feeder program for the Miss program where you can earn the scholarships to help afford college education. And it was a middle school teacher of mine who said, everything you do in your life aligns with kind of, like you said, the pillars of this organization. I think you should compete. And I'm like, this is Belinsky. I know people. I've gone to watch these shows for years. Like my instructors compete. She's like, well, you ought to compete in the first teen one. So 13-year-old Holly Blanchard at the time was my maiden name. I competed in the first ever teen competition, somehow made the top 10. And, that you could go back and find pictures that was like had these scrawny, skinny little legs and the big bangs. And I've come a long way. But that's a lot of thanks to the program too, and helping me develop into the leader that I am and the type of woman that I am. But yeah, when I finally won the title of Miss New Hampshire, I had been competing for 10 years at that point and earned about $45,000 in scholarships, which I was able to put toward my college education and at the time towards some of my school loans. And I made the most of that year of service as Miss New Hampshire because I had been working for that for so long. And who knew if it was ever going to happen? But I just got to a point, it's like, I know I can do this. I know it's possible. And I took every opportunity I had that year to get out into the community and to make a name for not only myself, but for the organization, like you said. And some of the relationships that I built during that year still impact the organization 10 years later. There's, still connections and relationships I have in my own life for personal reasons. And the hairstylist I used 10, 11 years ago is still my hairstylist today
Love it.
because of that relationship I built that year, and he's still serving the program. So it's just, and now having the opportunity to serve on the board of directors, I took some time off after being Miss New Hampshire. And, it's important to take a step back, I think, after you've been so committed and so invested in something for so long. That's actually right around the time that I found Arbonne, or Arbonne found its way into my life, because it was like, here was this huge, huge piece of my life that suddenly I was removing myself from, this community that I'd been a part of for so long. And I knew eventually I'd find my way back. It was like, I need another community. So took a couple years away and had said to one of the producers of the competition, if ever there's a role for me that you think I could help with, not that I know anything technical or, how to do lights or staging. I wasn't a theater kid growing up, but I'm like, I would love to be part of that team because I just think they're all volunteers. They're amazing people. And sure enough, got the call, hey, can you help us write the script for the show? Like, you're a decent writer. You're a good writer. And so started getting involved that way. And then all of a sudden it was like, we want you on the board of directors. And I said, told myself 10 years ago, one day I'm going to be on the board of directors to help impact and make change for the organization in a positive way. And a lot has changed over the last 10 years. The types of contestants we see, their level of engagement, involvement, the sponsors and the supporters that we bring in. So much has changed, but I'm hopeful it's for the better. That's, I think I used to say when I was younger in my community days, like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And so it's okay to make change. It's okay to evolve and to improve and help an organization into its next, years of existence. And so who knows how long I'll serve in this capacity on the board of directors, but it feels aligned right now. It feels good. And it feels like if I'm able to make an impact in these young women's lives, like so many did for me, I'll be there and I'll be doing it as long as I can. So
I love that.
I don't even know what the
No,
original
that
question
was so good. That was so good. No, it was so good. And I think for me, like, you know, another two things came up. The first one is that, what I have loved, obviously growing up with a neighbor, right? That I got to actually put the crown on my head. Like I got the whole like experience, right? And
right there.
right, it's right there. It's so cool. And and also getting to watch the program. And I just, as an individual, as a person, right? I've always been this way. And it makes sense because this is a gift. I definitely see God as using it. Is I just have the ability to come into places and just kind of like be observant and to see through some of the noise, right? And there's a lot of noise around the Miss America, Miss New Hampshire program that is just false, right? It's the narrative that people put out there. It's what people say. It's someone has a bad experience and they try to tear down the whole entity, right? So, I've been able to come in and just kind of also being your friend and being able to watch some of those like moments and the inside scoop. And what's really cool is when you are open and you're looking for the good in something and you're looking for the opportunities and the ways that it's going to make an impact, you're going to see that, right? And not to say that that two things can't be true at the same time, but like what you're saying is that it's recognizing, okay, what part of this program worked really well and what can we improve to make a difference, right?
Mhm.
And I think as a result, right, and not every state is created equal. Not every state program runs the same. Like that's the reality, y'all. Miss America is a brand and each entity, each 50 states plus Puerto Rico represents something very different, right? Holly is speaking directly to Miss New Hampshire, which she can impact. And I see that. And I've been able to watch from afar. And so that's not to say that all the girls coming from those different states are the same caliber that you guys are creating in New Hampshire. And that ultimately, I believe there's more good experiences, more good individuals like yourself at the top in the decision-making places, trying to cultivate just opportunities for incredible women. And we've seen it. The women that are winning Miss America are incredible women that are going out to make a difference and adding value to people. And yes, there are criterias that get them there. But if you look at the platform, if you watch the social media, I don't see, in the past 2 to 5 years, I haven't seen any of these women talk about some of the things that people expect them to, which is some of the elements of the competition. No, they're talking about the change they want to make and the things that add value
Mhm.
and and just the convictions on their heart. That's what they're speaking out about. So I think just in general. And then the other thing, I like give the audience a moment because I just get glued to the TV every time that you show clips. Because when Miss America and Miss New Hampshire comes around every year, I'm glued to my social media watching the final countdown of who wins. Talk to us, tell everybody live, what is that what was that experience like for you? What is actually going on have you watched it back? How do you process it all? Because we're watching it from do they literally break down like that? What's actually
Mhm.
happening?
It is so fun that you're asking this question because, my 2.5-year-old, almost 3-year-old, obviously sees this crown on display, and every day she'll be like, "I have it. I wanna try it." I'm like, "Nope, it's on display." And at one point over the last year, I showed her the video of my crowning moment, and, we've now probably watched it over 100 times, and she'll the way she says it is, "I wanna see a video of mama crying."
Oh my gosh.
And she's like, "But you're not sad, you're happy crying." And so she, has this understanding that, even at a young age, she can see that this was something that I'd worked for so long, and that moment when they call my name, and it's just if it I feel like this sounds conceited to say this, but if, ever I'm having a tough moment or a bad day, it's like, I can go watch that back, and it gives me full body goosebumps all over again, and just be like, I had I might be having a really horrible day at work or in life or whatever, but I achieved something really, 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 that I'd been working toward for a long, long time, and, I can accomplish hard things. I can do hard things. I can have hard days. But that moment that you've probably seen me share on social media before, I had been in that same spot the year before, but on the opposite side
Okay.
with a very good friend of mine who was crowned the year before me. So that was really the first time that I felt like I can do this. I had not made the top 5 before, um, but it was just like, yeah, I could do this. And some women, when they get in that position of first runner up and they go back to compete the next year, they put all this pressure on themselves, and then they don't even make the top 10 because it's just like, can I do that again? It's just they put such pressure on themselves, and that can be really challenging. But it was to me, it empowered me to be like, yeah, I can do this. And I just was actually telling this story a couple of weeks ago on one of a team training calls that our Arvon team does about the power of visualization. And I was really talking about how in the months leading up to that time when I was crowned, I had been putting in all the work behind the scenes of interview preparation, practicing my baton twirling talent, practicing how to walk in an evening gown and do my hair and makeup and all the things. But what I really started doing was visualizing that moment of success, of being crowned Miss New Hampshire, to the point that I was dreaming about it. I could hear the MC, who you might remember was the sports director for WMUR, the news station up here in New Hampshire. He'd been the MC for a long, long time, still is to this day. And I could, in my visualization and in my dreams, I could hear him announcing my name. I could see that somebody who was somewhat like brunette was standing across from me. I knew what my hair looked like. And so when I won, it was exactly as I had envisioned it. And so I think just that power of the visualization, and people were like, "Well, how could you predict that?" It's like, I didn't. I worked hard. It gave me that, energy every single day to keep working toward that goal of getting to that point. And so when it got down to it, I just knew it was going to happen. And I didn't publicize that or advertise that because, I had 24 other fellow competitors who wanted that just as badly as I did. But it really, and I hadn't heard about visualization before. I didn't even know that was a thing. I've since learned about it in the years, since and what it can do for people and their businesses and their goals and their dreams. But I was doing it long before I ever knew what it was. Um, and so, yeah, when I think about that moment, it was everything I dreamed it would be and worked hard for. It wasn't didn't just happen. I put in many, many, many years. And there were so many times where I could have said, like, "Ugh, this is it. I'm done. It's too much work. It's too much effort." And I kept coming back. I did it for the scholarship dollars, to be able to have that put toward my education was a huge piece of it. But I knew what my goal was, and I didn't care how long it was going to take.
I also love that you like, honestly, yes, the scholarship dollars, but I think ultimately some part of you knew there was something much bigger at play there. And because you won Miss New Hampshire, it got you into the doors to be a board of director ultimately and to have significant influence, right? Where you weren't just a contestant in the bottom 20, right? Like you literally
Mhm.
won. And that winning gets you into the places where your sphere of influence is a lot different, and not from a place of like, oh, you're going to go and take it all for yourself, from a place of you've always wanted to make a difference. And so winning that, getting the title now gives you credibility and authority, right, that you get to go share and to bless these women with. And that's exactly where you're at, right? So that visualization got you the scholarship dollars, but it got you something much, much more, which is
Mhm.
influence and authority. And I love you guys, honestly, like you got to follow Holly on Instagram and you'll get excited just as much as I do every year when she's behind the scenes. She's got her headset on and she's taking a video from the screen inside the theater of the final countdown and the announcement of who is winning Miss New Hampshire. And I'm glued every single time. I
It's
love
almost nerve-wracking, more nerve-wracking to be on that side, I think, because it's completely out of my control, right? Like, when I was a contestant, I could control how I showed up, what I looked like, all the things that I could do.
yeah,
And being on the other side, the production side, as a volunteer, you want the best for all these young women who are
yeah,
competing, and you want they all have these goals and desires to become Miss New Hampshire, and only one can be crowned each year, but it's exhilarating to be part of, and so much fun.
I love that.
So much fun.
I love that. And I'm excited to see what comes and also to see like, you know, your daughter, who knows? We could have a legacy family here if she's still as
Mhm.
excited about it.
Like that other family,
Like the other family that I know. Yeah, exactly. Except I'll be like, I know her. I know her. I've met her. I mean, so that's like a little
Yeah.
famous moment. Okay,
Yep.
so last question. I would love to know if you were to have coffee, in a cute coffee shop in New Hampshire with a woman who was where you once were. Doesn't have to be time Miss America. It could be whatever you feel like you need to share in this moment. But if you were sitting down having coffee with a woman who is where you once were, what advice would you give her during your time together?
I love that question. You have such great questions. And I think my advice would be to trust yourself, to not, doubt yourself at any point because it can be so easy as a young woman in an adolescence to doubt, is this what I should be doing? I mean, even when I was going to college, I was convinced after graduating high school that I was going to become a physical therapist. And after failing chemistry my second semester of college, realized this probably wasn't going to happen. But it was really hard to let go of that idea of what I thought I was going to be.
Yeah.
And I really doubted, what path I should be on, or and it was hard not to trust like the process or just, you know, go with the flow. It can be really challenging, especially when you're type of person I am. It's like you've got it in your mind, this is how it's going to be, and you're suddenly breaking up with this notion of you thought it was going to be.
Right.
Um, but just to and to take every opportunity that's presented your way. Um, you know, use those relationships. I just had the opportunity to speak with a group of college students last week at St. Anselm College, and I was giving them the same advice, like almost as if I was, you're like your question, imagining myself at that age. And I really talked about the power of relationships, which you've heard me talk a lot about today, and just the networking. And I said to them, every single opportunity that has come my way has been through a connection that I previously had. Every single one. And so that young person that I'm sitting across with having coffee, it's like, use me. I'm now in your network. I am somebody who can connect you to other people. Like, who are your teachers? Who are your mentors, your coaches, your instructors, your dance teachers? Who are those people that you can really build solid relationships with, who are going to open doors for you down the road? Just because that part of your journey may end doesn't mean you can't still stay in contact with them as the years go on. I still stay in touch with my first grade teacher.
Mhm.
It's like, yeah, that would be my advice, just to really build those solid relationships and to trust yourself, and don't have those doubts, because everything's going to work out the way it should, especially if you put in the hard work, and the consistency that it takes to achieve whatever goals you have.
I love that. Gosh. Holly, I wish that we could keep talking for another like hour and a half because this has been so good. And I think what this shows me more is that um I think that yeah, I think that we've been sidelines for a long time, but we need to connect on a deeper level and to do some more work together because I think that like yeah, there's just I'm like, if this showed me anything, it's like, yeah, it's been great to be your friend, and it's not enough anymore. Like we need to we need to actually connect and do some more things together. This has been incredible. So thank you for taking the time and sharing. And honestly, like there are gonna be many, many people blessed by this conversation.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And sometimes people say to me after, well, everything you've done, you've made it look so easy. And so don't be fooled that, have I been fortunate in many ways? Absolutely. But I've taken that time. I've put in the hard work. And so just remember, like, what you put out there and the energy you put out will come back to you. So
I
I really feel like you can accomplish anything you set your mind to. And I feel like I'm living proof of that. So
1000.
thank you for this opportunity to share and chat with your audience. It means a lot. And just really grateful for this chance.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to end with two lifestyle questions because I want to,
Okay.
I mean, I'm excited to hear your answers, honestly. So the first one is what is your favorite local small business that you frequent a lot that you want to shout out in New Hampshire?
This is a really challenging
I knew it was
question.
going to be
It is
hard.
a great question. It's still a great question, but because I work for the Greater Manchester Chamber, I work with over 690 businesses every single day.
Yep.
Maybe not on every single given day, but we have so many small businesses in our community that I just absolutely love. But I will give a couple. I'm going to give a couple shout outs in particular because, talk about coffee shop. When you were asking me like to imagine having coffee with a younger version of myself or somebody who was once where I was, I actually was visualizing in my head where I was when I was doing that. And it was my favorite coffee shop in Manchester, New Hampshire, Hometown Coffee Roasters. They actually just opened a second location in Goffstown, New Hampshire. They have ruined lattes for me. Like I don't like lattes anywhere else because the ones they make are just so good. I won't have them anywhere else. And they have the best breakfast BLT sandwich that you'll ever have. So if you ever find your way back to Manchester, New Hampshire, Britt,
Yes.
like we're
Yes.
going there. And then I also really love another kind of foodie place. There's this cute little shop called the Potato Concept, and they will have a stand at like the Deerfield Fair and the different fairs in the fall season.
Yeah.
But they are right like down the street from us, right next to the Palace Theater,
Okay.
and they do like loaded baked potatoes. I got one for lunch the other day, and they're amazing people. I could go in every time and have a wonderful conversation with the husband-wife team. And
I love that.
so there are a lot of amazing small businesses, but those are two like right now in my life that I'm just like, yeah, gotta give them some shout out.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And honestly, like it's making me hungry for potato. If I'm being honest, I'm like, I can use a
Who
potato.
doesn't love a good at this time, it's like who doesn't love a good
A
potato
good
like that?
loaded baked potato, get out of here. It's so comfy and all the things. Yeah, and I will say, again, you and I grew up in New Hampshire, and it has been really cool. You and I are both in the small business space, and it's been really, really cool to see the revival and the transformation that small businesses had in New Hampshire, particularly in Manchester, right? Like every
Mhm.
city goes through its challenges, and yet, Elm Street and the greater downtown area are really getting changed by men and women that want to make a difference. And that's something that like whenever I've been advising businesses, that's what matters to me. I can get behind the potato concept. I can get behind a coffee shop. I can get behind a shoe shining business. But what do you want to be doing to make a difference in the community and using your business as a vehicle to do that?
Yeah, and it's just so exciting to be part of. I mean, we get the inside scoop being with the chamber, but it's just, yeah, like you said, that just to see this community thrive, is this we're excited and honored to be part of it.
I love that. So cool. Okay. What is a book you've read multiple times that you believe someone listening should read as well?
I actually have it right here. Again, it'll probably be backwards, and you've probably read this one too, The Slight Edge. I think I've read this 3 or 4 times, and there've been times where I'll go back and just read specific chapters. actually hadn't read this for the first time until a year ago.
Wow,
And
really?
you can see all the books. I know I've been hearing about it for 8 years, but like you see all the books behind me, and I just
Yeah.
like I'm not going to read a book because I have so many to get through, and there's so many on the shelf that I have not yet read. But this one, oh my gosh, it is so good. I can't speak highly enough about it. The other one I will say is Mel Robbins' latest book, Let Them.
Mm.
That has been game changing for me. I first listened to it on Audible and have since read a copy of it, but highly recommend for anybody.
I love
It's
that.
just, and I actually have a little bracelet that says "Let Them."
So good. I haven't even read it, but
Yeah.
I've dove into some of the concepts and the reels and things, and I'm like, yeah, let them. Like, just like,
Mhm.
and it's even just that, because ultimately when you read a Mel Robbins book, you understand some of her principles. And so, like, for me, it was easy. Do I need to read the book? Yes, I do. And Slight Edge is a great, great book, and a book to like come back to. Because I will say, and I made light fun, but I am a firm believer, and I'm taking this to the grave, that you are meant to read books, fiction as well, at specific times. And when you
Mhm.
force book reading, you don't actually take away what you're meant to be taking away. And this has been so true for me in this season of life, even with fiction books, where like I'm reading a book right now that feels very closely connected to like what I'm experiencing. I'm like, this is wild. And with personal growth books, there are seasons where I tried to force read The Slight Edge. It didn't work. And when I read The Slight Edge, I was ready to receive it. And so
Yes.
whoever's out there being like, I got a stack of books and I've read the first couple chapters. Okay, just trust and ask, am I supposed to come back to that? When am I supposed to come back to that? And then lean into it.
And it's okay to let it go. I've
Yes.
had to get to that place because I've been this type, like, I'm opening a book, I have to read it until I finish it, and then it sits there for 4 months, and then I don't read other books, and it's like, it's okay.
It's okay.
Just close it.
Just
And
close
if it's
it.
not for you right now,
Go
it's
on to the
fine.
next one. Yeah. Don't not
Yep.
read, right? That's the point. Like, don't not read because you're like, oh, because I had to push this one down, it doesn't mean, no, it's not
Mhm.
like that. Not at
Yep.
all. Not at all.
Yep.
Where
Such
can,
great advice.
thank you. Where can the audience find you? Like, I'm imagining there are people that have that want to get involved in New Hampshire that are listening, and or just want to hear more of your story and connect and get poured into. Where can they find you?
I had to look it up because I couldn't remember it to my exact So I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook too, but on Instagram, I think my account's public. It's Holly Horst with an underscore.
Cool.
So yeah, I always welcome new conversations. Like I said at the very beginning, I love meeting new people and just connecting with others. So
Yeah.
would be thrilled to have anybody reach out.
Amazing. And I'll put that in the show notes too, so people can click on that as well. Thank you so much.
Perfect.
This has been
Thank you.
the best.
Flew by as I suspected it
It
would.
flew by. You guys, as always, share this episode. It's the greatest honor of my life is to have these episodes played. We've added many countries, including Russia, Federal Russia, to the list on the Brittany Wheeler Show. And I want to go there. Obviously, right now may not happen, but I do want to actually go to Russia. So we are growing globally. But we have so many people we can impact here in the United States and Canada. That's all of our brothers and sisters across the globe. So share this episode, like and follow us, subscribe to the YouTube channel that you're watching from, that you can continue to get more updates and more episodes. Hit download on Wednesdays. And as always, do good things, make me proud.